All right, Matt Beamer here, our Club 1040 monthly Facebook Live questions and answers Q&A. And so for this month, it's always on the first Thursday of the month at 7 a.m. And we've got a special guest, Fred Lambert. Pastor Fred Lambert's going to be with us, and really looking forward to going into some depth about the Let's Go Mission Conference that he's hosted for a number of years, find out the genesis of that, and we'll be able to do some discussion around that. Will be fun. Also, this month, we're going to quick update on the Bible College in Lebanon. Just got back. Julie and I just flew from England, where we were with our UK pastors and leaders there for the Spring Leaders Summit. And then here in Egypt for team building. And then a couple other things will come up as well. We've got some fun questions. If you have a question, please feel free to ask that question. We'll do our best to answer it during our time together here for the next sort of 20, 30 minutes or so. This is this live is your best opportunity, your best source for up-to-date information, prayer requests, and it gives you an opportunity to ask questions. I want to bring on our guest today, and that is Pastor Fred Lambert. So, Pastor Fred.
Yes, Matt. Great to be with you. Very honored.
And you're there in your office in Austria. We were there with you about 8 weeks ago. I recognize we had a lot of great food back there in that office in between meetings and after meetings and fellowship with different leaders. And that's why I wanted to talk to you. First of all, those that don't know you, you've been in Austria for how long?
30 years. June 24th will be exactly 30 years. So,
You and
yeah.
Judy graduated from the same Bible college that Julie and I did, but you did it a little bit before us, I think. When did you graduate?
So I graduated 90, Judy graduated 91, and then we lived in Tulsa till 94, helping there at the church and doing various and sundry things and then in 1994, we just sensed the Lord was telling us our time in Tulsa was over. And we started looking for opportunities, had several really pretty nice, amazing opportunities, but none of it seemed right. And then in February of 94, we got a telephone call at 4 o'clock in the morning from a guy in Austria who wanted to start a church and a Bible school and was looking for help. And so I came and checked it out just for 1 week. I actually knew in my heart this was the thing, but I came and checked it out as this house group that was meeting. And yeah, we moved just a few months later to Austria with very, very little support from churches. We did a short tour of some churches that we knew, and then just got one-way tickets and took 8 boxes and a guitar and 2 kids, and we came here.
That's awesome.
$500. We had $500.
That's amazing. And it's so sounds like our story. So Julie and Judy then graduated the same year, 91, and I graduated the year after, 92, so about the same time. And we
Yeah.
we left the States in 94 as well with about $500 a month pledge support. And we're both still doing it as we made it somehow.
Yes, God is faithful. He's
He's
faithful. He
so
he takes care of he takes care of those crazy people.
He does. And what an adventure. So, you had to learn German. What was it like, and how did that work?
Well, so we only spoke Hogan's Heroes German before we came here, and German is the national language. And
Ain't no nothing.
so the first week that I was here, I started leading praise and worship phonetically. So I
Wow.
learned how to pronounce the words, and then we would sing them, and then I would say, "Now, what was it we were singing?" So, so my first couple of years, I had a very Christian German. All of the, I could tell what righteousness was and justification, but I didn't, what a carburetor was in German, such things like that. So,
Yeah.
we were like immersed immediately. So for me, it was a little bit easier. I was like 5, 6 days a week here in the church and in the Bible school. So I learned pretty quickly to communicate. Judy took a little bit longer. She would go to the store with her German dictionary and try to find where everything was. And but with I would say within about 3 years, I was able to start preaching in German. So I've been preaching in German pretty much ever since. Yeah.
So I really want to talk to you in these few minutes that we have of the mission conference. Let's Go Mission Conference. That was at least the tag that it had this last March when we were with you. I was so impressed on so many levels. Um, so I want, how started. How did that get started? And tell us a little bit about it.
Well, when we came to Austria, of course, we were very involved in the church planting and Bible school, and but our heart was always burning for missions. I mean, that was one of the subjects at Rhema that really touched my heart. And I think anybody who's really filled with the Spirit is going to have a world vision. And but when we came here, we noticed that Austria, the church in Austria, the free churches, the Catholic Church is very big here, and the Lutheran Church, but the evangelical Pentecostal type of churches, they were very small, and they looked at themselves as a missions receiving nation. And the movement here in Austria was started by missionaries from Switzerland, from Finland, from Norway, and then also quite a bit with the help of Americans from the Assemblies of God. And they had this mentality: we're a mission receiving nation, missions receiving nation. And I know that like we heard in missions class, that a church that does not get involved in missions is going to eventually become a missions field. And so we wanted to do something to change that mentality, that Austria and the church in Austria would begin to see themselves as mission sending. And so we started the missions conference. Originally, we had every May, the like several years, it was just May was missions month. So every Sunday we had a missions theme. We would have a missionary, and we would do some extra fundraising and that sort of thing for missions. And then we just decided to go ahead and do a classic missions conference where we have various missions organizations, and then international cuisine, international praise and worship, and decorate the building a little bit with some flags and some national things, and have everybody bring their missions roll ups and stands, and that people would have an opportunity. Three things: we wanted to make sure that people would get a vision for world missions, that world missions would be made known in Austria, because people were not thinking in that direction. And then number two, that people would have an opportunity in these 3 days that we have to really get just immersed in that atmosphere and be able to hear from God. What is your part in the Great Commission? And then the third thing was just to raise as much money as we possibly could in those days for the various missions organizations that come. So that's basically how it started. And I think we had I believe this was our 18th year of doing the missions conference. Like I said before, we did other kinds of things, but the missions conference is now, it's eight. We had our 18th. Yeah.
So amazing. While we were at this conference, for those, I'm trying to paint the picture a little bit. Was it Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and then of course we were with you on Sunday. Um,
Yeah.
you had people speaking from several different countries and different regions that spoke. There were children's things for the children, and there were a lot of children. There was maybe 50, 60 children, something like that. Julie had the
Mhm.
privilege of doing teaching a workshop, teaching parents and about how to raise global leaders. But then also they did the parade of flags and had a whole event just for the kids. Um, there was, I think some of the people went out and actually ministered and evangelized a little bit too, didn't they?
Yes, on Friday and Saturday, we had teams go out. And actually, there were like 40 or 50 people that went out on the streets, and of course, they would share a little bit about, we have a missions conference. But what I heard is 15 people prayed to receive Jesus in those afternoons. Which, in Austria, street evangelism is like a really rare thing. When we first came here, we did some street evangelism, and I mean, people would just say, "Why don't you go to Africa? We don't need that here. We have churches everywhere." But there's a greater openness. Yeah, we had, yeah, a good outreaches on those both days as well. And the children's mission rally. This is also, we we want the kids, right from the youngest of ages, to be able to also get that vision for world missions and to know that they're a part of what God's doing in this world, all over the world. And Julie did such a fantastic job. We were so blessed. I know our children's workers, they were all inspired, and the kids, they still talk about it till this day. So
That's
yeah,
wonderful.
and we're working on right now, maybe getting getting Julie's books, the books translated into German. I mean, that'll be such a great tool for Austria. Yeah.
So love that so much. You also had a brunch for the mission leaders, and there were like maybe what was it, 20 or 30 mission organizations there of all different types, all different denominational backgrounds. I was so
Yeah.
impressed by that.
Yeah, there were 33 different missions projects and organizations. Everything from Wycliffe Bible translation to OM, to, Youth with a Mission, uh, Frontiers, Open Doors, and of course Club 1040, and just various great missions organizations. And we noticed that especially the last 4 or 5 years, that one of the side effects of the missions conference is that the missionaries and the people who are working together with these missions organizations, they get together, and it's such an inspiring time for everybody that comes. The fellowship is just edifying, and we notice that this actually has become one of the highlights of the conference for everyone who comes, that they're strengthened, they're encouraged in their work, they know that they're loved, they know they're being prayed for. And so yeah, that's kind of a side effect that's grown out of this. And yeah, from every denomination. So we have Lutherans, we have Baptists, we have regular evangelists, we have also the wildest charismatics. Nobody even thinks about that. It's like a little bit of heaven on earth, like nobody's interested in what your church name tag is or anything like that. But let's get this job done. Let's reach the world.
It really is exactly how you expressed it. Like, so I heard early on, I heard one time a pastor gave some leadership advice to other pastors, and he said, if you want to keep like the inward bickering and fighting and divisions within your church, you want to keep that out of your church. Keep them focused on the outward mission of the church, the Great Commission, and they won't argue so much about the color of the paint or the chairs. They have those higher priorities. And that's exactly what was evidenced. It's like in a living example of that. You model that conference with, there's these major on the majors and then let go of the minors. And so there are a number of people that let go of the differences in order to fellowship around that higher purpose of, let's reach those who haven't heard the gospel yet, and let's do it through collaboration and cooperation. And I mean, that's a large number of groups, 33 groups. And then your church finances all the expenses and underwrites it so that
Mhm.
everything that comes in offerings. And I think, if I remember right, you said last year, I don't know what this last one was, but last year was like 70,000 euros or something came in. I
Yeah,
mean,
yeah,
that's
right.
incredible.
And it was about the same this year, 70,000, and every penny goes directly to the missions organizations. And so yeah, our church, um, I mean, it probably costs altogether maybe somewhere around eight to 10,000 euros.
Hmm.
But what we receive as a church, what it does for our people, and is worth way more than that. It's come back in so many ways. And yeah, so we're honored that we can do that. I mean, it blesses us to be able to do that. And then of course, when we receive the offering messages, you don't have a problem saying, okay, get your wallet out and empty it right now. Every penny's
Yeah.
going to world mission. So it's fun.
It is. It's so nice to be able to do that when you're the pastor of a church. That people, like, it's not, they can accuse you of having ulterior motives, but the accusation would be foolish because it's all going to world missions, and that's fun. And you did it. I heard you, even though it was German. I understood the getting out the wallet and emptying it.
Yeah.
um, so also, your son Josh, I mean, so impressed by everything he's doing there, the podcast we were able to do with him, and the impact that what they're doing is making as well. Through the worship and through the wider reach of things, and with all the online broadcasting. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, well, of course, we're real excited about all of that. A number of years ago, the Lord spoke to us and said, "Your children will run faster, build bigger, and accomplish more than you." And we're seeing that happen with this next generation. It's just totally awesome. And so, yeah, we have a really strong media outreach now in Austria, in the German-speaking nations. Almost all of our podcasts are in German. Almost all of our video and live stream stuff is in German, of course. And yeah, we've had actually, I can't remember now, but millions of views on the videos and that sort of thing. So it is having a powerful impact. Josh is a multi-talent. I mean, he's doing everything from leading worship to preaching, and then also podcasts and that sort of thing. But yeah, that's one of our heart's desires as well, because we have this great desire also in this mandate, to teach my people faith. We want to get this message out there, and generally, I think by all of our services and so on, we have as many people online as are with us in the house. And then, it's a really good, strong outreach. Yeah.
Yeah. So talk about, I had the privilege, I think it was Saturday night, to share. You wanted us to pray for people. And I really came with a very clear and kind of extreme call to action, in the sense that I was, the whole message was about, this generation, every nation, and about how there needs to be people willing to go to do whatever it took. And I looked at some of the historical examples and how people in the past, they would, back in the, late 19th century, they would get on those boats, and they knew that, when they got on that boat to go to West Africa or wherever, they knew they were never coming home. And in later times, they even, the mission organizations they went with even would actually build a coffin for them instead of a locker, like a locker box for traveling. They would a coffin, and that's what they were to pack all their stuff in, because they probably would use the coffin as well on the other side. And
Mhm.
my call to action was, are you willing, by saying yes, standing up saying yes, you're saying that if God wills, you will go anywhere and do anything, even at the risk of your life. And I thought we would have a few people stand up. I mean,
Mhm.
I don't know exactly how many people were there, but it was filled and overflowing. There was an overflow as well, and it was packed. And I still thought we might have a handful of people that say yes to that kind of really, extreme call. And you had asked that we pray for people, and then, like, I mean, everybody seemed like they responded. And I'm
Yeah.
like, oh my
Yeah.
gosh, we can't pray for all these people. So I had to do it like, okay, if you're 30 years or less, and you
Right.
then come forward. And we still had like several lines of people. I was so amazed by that response.
Yeah, and this is also for me, like, is a very exciting thing, because the young people right now are totally on fire for God. I mean, the young people in our church, and you know, it's there are also some things that have happened in the last couple of years that I think have really led to that. Like, Josh has also been doing this worship revolution event, and it's bringing kids together from all the churches, and they're seeing now, okay, we are not just this tiny little church in a tiny little corner of some place in Austria, but they're part of something bigger, and they're encouraging one another, and they're networked with one another, they're continually in contact. And it's just awesome to see how they are encouraging one another to go and to do. And since that night, since you prayed for these people, there have been like 4 or 5 that have already been on some short-term missions. All of the missions organizations that were here, they stayed and talked longer at their stands than ever before. I mean, they had people coming and saying, "How can I get involved? What can I do?" Yeah, I it's it really is an amazing thing. I'm blown away by what God's doing. I'm kind of just watching what's happening, and it blesses me big time. Just to see people giving themselves to the call of God. Yeah,
Yeah, there's something special happening in that generation that's
yeah,
coming on into leadership now. Really, it seems like there's an awakening of that passion and desire to do whatever it takes to get this message out and just to sell out for the Lord and obey. Kind of like in the early '90s, it feels like we're getting a generation that's stepping into that kind of same thing. So as we need to finish now, but I don't want to finish without letting you have an opportunity to share. How do people connect with you and with the church? And obviously from an English speaking standpoint, there'll be a lot of people watching this from the U.S. standpoint. How can people support you and connect? What's the easiest, best way?
well, we do have a website, fredlambert.org. So that's one way, and email address, contact address, and all that stuff is available there. And if anybody's interested, of course, we have a YouTube channel, but that's all in German. If you know somebody in Germany or Austria or some German speakers anywhere in the world and you want to encourage them, you can find Freie Christengemeinde, like it says here at the bottom. Um, all that information is online. Yeah.
So
So
awesome. And then what about social media and stuff like that? You guys have any platforms that
everything.
way?
We're on every kind of social media, Facebook and of course Instagram. They're the main ones that we're using. I think we have a TikTok channel. We haven't used it as much as we should, but we do have one. So Judy and I both have personal Facebook accounts. Anyone can get in touch with us anytime they want. Fred Lambert, Judy Lambert. We're easy to find, and also Freie Christengemeinde. Rhema Austria is online. We also have a Rhema Austria website where they can get information as well. Yeah, we have like so many ways that people can contact us, but Rhema Austria or Freie Christengemeinde, Fred Lambert, all that stuff will get you to us.
So quick question.
What is the age group of these younger people?
Someone's asking a question about the typical age group that group of people we were talking about.
Yeah, so actually, I'm talking about youth. We're talking about people between 13 and 25. I mean, there was a great number of them there that night, and
Mhm.
uh, and that's with Worship Revolution, the last Worship Revolution. I think there was like 800 kids there, and almost all of them are under 25 years old. There's
So,
always some older folks like myself there who want to go and still try to be cool, but it's really amazing to see what God's doing with the youth. We're totally blown away. Yeah.
and and you
And
came from
this
a
is something that I think the Lord spoke pretty plainly to me at the beginning of this year, is that that spirit of Elijah turning the hearts of the fathers to the children, to the hearts of the children to the fathers, is just something that's burning in my heart more and more. And I see, my role has changed a little bit. I mean, I'm still, always active and busy, got a lot going, got vision enough, but I want to do everything I can to provide resources for this generation. That's my heart. I'm just burning to get as many resources as I possibly can to help these people run, to help these young folks run with the vision that they have in their heart. So anyway,
wow.
it's working. We got a great team. We're so blessed. Yeah.
Well, thanks so much for sharing your heart, and again, it's a great example. You are a blessing. Say hello to everybody there in Austria, and that
Will do.
we just enjoyed our time there so much. And thank you so much for sharing your heart. I pray that in some way it sparks many other people who are leaders listening, watching this, to do something similar, or maybe someone has a heart to connect with missions in some way, or just financially get behind what you guys are doing. And I trust something like that will come to pass. Thanks so much, Fred. Appreciate it. Appreciate you.
Thanks, Matt. God bless you. Thanks for coming and being with us. See you
Yeah,
soon.
my honor. Yeah, God bless.